The last AP poll in Division 1 FBS football was released for the 2025 season. It goes as follows, and I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. Indiana with 66 first place votes, as it should be. Miami, Florida, Ole Miss, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Alabama, Notre Dame, BYU, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, Vanderbilt, Virginia, Iowa's now ranked, Tulane, James Madison, USC, Michigan, Houston's now ranked, Navy, North Texas, and TCU is now ranked. Obviously, from last time AP poll to this one, Arizona, Georgia Tech, and Missouri are no longer ranked. Receiving vote teams goes as follows: Illinois with 123, Washington with 76, SMU with 69, Duke with 58, Arizona with 54, Georgia Tech with 44, Tennessee with 10, Missouri with 8, Louisville with 7, Old Dominion with 3, Western Michigan with 2, Wake Forest with 2, Boise State with 1, and Hawaii with 1. Now, my top 10 for Division 1 FBS football goes as follows. And I just did mine based on the results based, to be honest. And not just in terms of who made the title game, but the point difference as well for the semifinal games and the quarterfinals. You get the point. Indiana, Miami, Florida, Ole Miss, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Alabama. I put A&M at number 9 because they only lost by a touchdown. And I put Oklahoma. If you really don't want to include James Madison and Tulane at 11 and 12, that's fine by me. But I am doing that because they made the playoffs. But if you don't, that's fine. Then obviously the outside, those two are the outside looking for me. But if you don't want to include those, A-OK. BYU, but regardless, BYU, Notre Dame, Utah, Vanderbilt, Texas should be for sure outside looking in. If you don't want to include James Madison and Tulane, then it becomes Virginia, then USC. Maybe Tulane could be a little bit right at number 17 or something, or James Madison, but either way. At least there's no more two transportal windows for this sport. We're going to have to wait and see what the poll looks like beginning of next year and what the rosters look like for every single team. It's not mentioning the schedule releases. And I will not do any previews for all those scheduled this year. It's just way too much. And I did that last last 2 years, and I think it's just way too much for me to do, honestly. I'd rather just do best case, worst case scenarios. Who's on the hot seat type of deal. Who's some college football playoff teams going to next year. Assuming it will be 12, because we have not heard anything. We'll have to wait and see about that as well. Is it going to still stay at 12? Or is it going to expand? Seems like that the Big Ten wants 24 and SEC wants 16. So that's something's. If there's no agreement, they're going to keep it at 12. And I think there's going to have to be a change in the future. I don't know if it's going to start beginning of next year. But I honestly think the playoff games need to start sooner. Especially for those who played in the title game. I mean, you don't want to give them till December 31st to play that first game in a few weeks. Yeah. And what if, for example, Oregon was hosting, not hosting, but a top 4 seed this past year? They would not have played from the week before the title game until December 31st or January 1st. That's way too much time. I know that's not an excuse, but you cannot, for losing games, but you cannot admit it is a factor. I mean, 1-7 for those who had a bye. Granted, year one, Boise State, I don't think they were like top 4 seed good to begin with. Arizona State, they were down the best wide receiver at the time. Obviously, Oregon just ran into a buzzsaw in Ohio State last year. And Georgia had a quarterback problem with they had to go with Garner Stockton instead of Carson Beck. So you get the whole point. And obviously, for this year, Georgia just had a rematch with Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was right there with them last time. Granted, it was a different head coach in Lane Kiffin. But still, you get the point. And obviously, Texas Tech, I just think they just ran into Oregon. And they just couldn't match them up. Texas Tech defense did everything they could, but the offense was not good enough. Clearly. Obviously, Indiana had no issues, and Ohio State just ran into Miami, Florida, and they got bullied in the trenches. There's going to have to be some changes, I think. And I also think there needs to be something done about the sport as a whole. Get like a salary cap for everybody. Get collective bargaining. And there needs to be some punishment eventually for tampering with players. And you know what's crazy is? I know one example where like a school sport got punished for tampering. That's Oklahoma State women's tennis with then head coach Chris Young. Later on, a week later, when all that stuff came out, Chris Young and Oklahoma State parted ways. They got punished for tampering with players. And yet, there's nothing for all the other sports on tampering. I think that has to change eventually. And I would say if you tamper with a player, they should not be allowed to play. I don't care if it's not fair to the player or fair to the school. You can't tamper, and if they enter the portal like 3-4 days before they commit somewhere, that's one thing. But if they're going to enter the transfer portal, and then didn't even take like a visit, like literally that day they committed somewhere after they enter, something's got to be up. There has to be some changes. And look at the Darian Mensah thing too. That's just ridiculous. There's got to be some changes to this sport. We know it. It's more like, when are they going to do it? And I'm not just talking about the playoffs either. I'm talking about all the other stuff. NIL I'm okay with. It's just they need to be more realistic and get a cap for everybody to have a more level playing field for everybody. And I really do think, because Indiana won the national title last night, everyone's going to adopt the Cincinnati way eventually. He didn't have a lot of 4-star or 5-star recruits. He got some players from the transfer portal and then developed them. And within 2 years, from really a bad off program, and historically a bad one, to a national title in 2 years, and year one, they made the playoffs unexpectedly. And we thought this year's schedule, they were not going to do that, go to the playoffs again. Because look at that schedule, it was more difficult. However, Penn State fell off a cliff. And then obviously they beat Oregon at Oregon, and then they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. So you get the point. Nobody expected them to go win it all, let them go and go unbeaten at that. We would have thought 2 losses or 3 losses. Clearly, it just goes to show this is why we play this sport. And it takes the right coach. You got to develop the players. You got to have NIL. And you got to be playing sound fundamental football and commit less penalties to the opponent and take care of the ball. And win turnover margin, basically. Okay, enough of my thoughts on that as a whole. That's what I said about the national title game recap and everything like that. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like, subscribe, and see you guys later on the road. 8 unsubscribes goals ultimate goal is 1,000 more, so my money at this course live video. Comment very really helps YouTube algorithms. So more people see this, sharing the video does help as well. So more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribe, hit subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well. And I'm not even talking about tampering just in football. I'm talking about every other sport out there. There needs to be something for tampering to occur for those schools that do tamper. Get them punishment. Give them that, NCAA. Grow a spine for a change. Seriously. This is just sick on the tampering stuff.